Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the August meeting of the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners. Noticing that all commissioners are present this evening, we start our meeting by rising to pledge allegiance to the flag and invite anyone who wishes to join us. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our agenda tonight starts with approval of the minutes for July 8th of '24.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It's unanimous. We do not have any informational reports or presentations. Did I get that correct, Mr. Mans?
Correct.
Yeah, thanks. We have comments from the public, with each person limited to 3 minutes, knowing that there are some people here that wish to possibly speak on an agenda item related to our Northport property. I would advise that either one of those is fine. You may speak once or twice. You may speak once, but I guess I'd recommend that you wait for that agenda item and speak at that point.
Whatever's easiest for the commission.
I think you would have the benefit of hearing whatever presentation is going to be made, and then you'd be able to comment on that at that point.
That would be great, yeah.
Okay. Next, any other member of the public here to speak on any topic? Seeing none. We have a consent agenda for items 24, 73, 74, 75, 76, and 81. Can I have a motion on the consent agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on any of these items? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
May I make a comment, Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
about these contracts? I really would like to have us insist on them being reviewed, the contract being reviewed, so that the language is updated and so forth. I think there's a couple of issues that are in them already, and we need to make sure that's correct.
That's kind of on our long-term agenda at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we will expect that at the measured pace that we're proceeding with relation to all of that, we'll likely get to it eventually, hopefully sooner rather than later.
And you're referencing the law enforcement contracts with the towns.
Correct.
Next item is the Opera Business 2477, which is the award of a bid. The agenda item is to Benchmark Inc. of Westbrook for the fit-up construction of 24 Northport in the amount of $38,22,908. This is an Opera expense item, and so Mr. Manager or our compliance expert, either one.
Well, I'll kick it off and steal all the thunder out of her presentation, like we would normally do. No, I will just open it and say this is an awarded bid to Benchmark of Westbrook, Maine, for the fit-up construction of 27 Northport, our new building that we will be moving to eventually here. And the bid amount is $3,822,908. That includes the base bid and the 6 alternative bids that we asked for pricing for. At this point, I turn it over to Sandy Warren, our Compliance and Audit Manager, to present this item.
Well, thank you, guys. So as Jim mentioned, we awarded the contract, or we're recommending awarding the contract to Benchmark. We hired WSP, who's also in the room today, to help us with procuring those services, and they helped us put out the RFP and run all the specs for us, because that's really tricky, and that's what they do. So we combined that packet, put it out to bid, and we received actually 7 bidders, which was pretty amazing. We haven't seen that in quite a while, so the market's definitely shifted a little bit there. And so one of the criteria for all of our federal funds is that we have a bid packet that's specific to ARPA, same for CDBG, any federal programs that we put out. And within that, it carves out the specific federal requirements that have to be agreed upon before we can award a contract and then sign one. So those are part of the bid packet, because of course you have to read through them. You have to be in compliance as a contractor before we can look at it and say, yes, we'll be willing to recommend you for an award. So with that, there were about 4 folks that didn't actually submit those, so they didn't complete the process. And so we had a scoring criteria where you either pass or failed. Did you complete the federally required program requirements, yes or no? And if you didn't, you weren't able to move forward, because of course at that moment in time, we can't assure that they'll be in compliance. And that's a requirement based on CFR Part 200, and it's a portion of the contracting requirement, as well as construction. So it's Subpart D. I can give you all of the actual listings. I actually have them here if you want to see what they are in terms of citing the actual regulations. But it does a lot for us. So when we put those in the bid, the reason behind it, there's some key areas that we're meeting. One, it's the legality of it. So yes, we are ensuring we're in compliance. And then other components of that are risk management, as well as additional contract legalities. We don't want to award a bid if we don't know that they're going to be in compliance, because then we're obligating funds that truly don't meet the federal regs, so we're in trouble when we do that. So auditing purposes later on, we get cited for that type of situation, and it's not something that we do. We do this with all of our programs, whether it be CDBG, here in the county, Portland, everyone. This is just the general setup that we have. We went with benchmark because, as I was saying, so that was the first criteria. I had to hit on that or you didn't. The next one was, once you've had that in place, the timeline for the project, the cost of the project, and then your references. So we put in the references to make sure that you had, as a contractor, the capacity to do the work that was being bid out to us. And then what was your cost for that bid? So what we go back and look at too is we assign point values to that. And of course, the highest point value you can get is if you are the lowest bidder to thereafter. So benchmark, being the lowest bidder, received the highest points because they were the most cost effective, which is another rule and compliance piece of the federal funding.
Thank you. You referred to CFR, that's the Code of Federal Regulations?
Yes, to CFR Part 200,
Yeah.
the uniform guidance, yep.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I have every reason to think you might have a few things to say, so
Just a couple, yeah.
please hit the podium if you don't mind, and
Not a problem.
tell us who you are and what you're
My
thinking.
name's JP Schwartz. I'm a senior project manager with Allied Cook Construction. We obviously submitted a bid for this project. Am I limited to any time here, or?
We allow 3 minutes usually.
Okay,
If
with
you
the
need a little
information
more,
I
let me
have
know. and-
Here, I might be a little beyond that. I just wanted to give everybody a heads up. It's the difference between me speeding through this and kind of just talking intelligently about it. But so we were the low bidder of the 27 North Point project, $3,283,303. That is pre alternates being accepted there. You'll obviously see that in your scoring sheets that were provided to you in the packet today. We learned last week that our bid was rejected because we missed submitting the Cumberland County, Maine federally required provisions to the American Rescue Plan Act forms. And after reviewing the recommended bidder's bid package as provided to this commission, we have some concerns about the contractor selection process and the clarity of the bid documents. While we can appreciate the county staff is in a position where the rules govern the actions taken and decisions made, and that the county must perform the process by the book, it seems that some requirements of the instructions to bidders are being waived in the selection of the recommended bidder, and others are not. Last week, we made county staff aware of our concerns, and in an email sent last Friday, after phone conversations, we outlined the questions we had and provided marked up attachments to support those questions. The marked up attachments were from the recommended bidder's bid package and the instruction to bidders sections of the bid documents. The instruction to bidders reads, owner may elect to disqualify a bid due to failure to submit a bid in the form requested. It also reads, in the same paragraph, owner may elect to disqualify a bid due to failure to complete entries in all blanks in the bid form. In review of the recommended bidders' forms, there are 8 blanks left with no entries made, some of which request important information that would certainly sway the county's decision for the selected bidder. We are confused with the may elect language of the instructions to bidders. Because there is a clear election being made to waive the filling of the blank requirement for the recommended bidder, but no election being made for the single missing form requirement for the low bidder, neither of these items impact the bid amounts for the project, but the missing information by the recommended bidder could impact schedule. The recommended bidder provided the federal provisions forms. We did not. There's no question there. We provided all other information complete. The recommended bidder did not. We understand that the county has been communicating with other bidders requesting clarifications to their bid packages. The county has not reached out to us for any clarifications to our bid package. It would be speculation to assume that the county elected to clarify the missing information from the recommended bidder's package, but the county could have elected to request that we provide our missing form. Our company has completed and can complete the federal provisions form in past projects. Our company is in good standing. With other ARPA-funded projects we are participating in or have completed, we have never needed to complete this form as a bid document. It is only required to be completed as part of the contract after the project is awarded. This is why we did not provide this document. To further expand on the missing information of the recommended bidders package, specific to the federal required provisions pursuant to the American Rescue Plan Act, the first section of the form requires the prime contractor to fill out their bid price. The recommended bidder left this blank. The instruction to bidder reads, bid submissions shall include a filled-out copy of the document, Cumberland County, Maine, federally required provisions to the American Rescue Plan Act. The instructions do not make a distinction between the prime contractor section of the document being required with the bid submission and the subcontractor section of the document not being required with the bid submission. This leaves the submitted document by the recommended bidder incomplete because the subcontractor section was not completed, and this document is not in full compliance with the instruction to bidders. We have not seen all bid packages, but we believe that none of the bidders provided the subcontractor section of this document because it cannot be completed until after the project is awarded. As shown in the bid results provided to this commission, 4 of the 7 experienced bidders missed the federal form requirement. This is a clear signal that there is a problem with the bid documents and not the bidders. If we were the only bidder to miss this requirement, that would clearly be on us. But when 57% of the bidders missed the form, it points to an issue that should be resolved in the process. At the very least, there was confusion created by the bid documents. One bidder asked for clarification on what forms are required to be submitted with the bid package, and the answer was to read the instruction to bidders and to reach out with specific questions, leaving the required forms to be interpreted by each bidder. Based on the bid results, with more than half the bidders not submitting this form, the instructions to bidders was not sufficiently clear. Had the intent been clear, all bidders would have provided this form. I don't want this to come across as sour grapes. We win some, we lose some, and this is not us complaining. We are disappointed to have provided an accurate low bid and not be awarded the project. Pulling a bid like this together for a project that is important for the county takes a lot of time and resources for all bidders. We want to make sure that all the rules are to be strictly followed. Then the rules need to be strictly enforced. And if exceptions are being made in the selection process, then we would like the exception consideration for the requirement we missed. We firmly believe that not allowing this exception, not only will it cost the county more money, but it will disenfranchise all the bidders to a fair process. I appreciate your time and consideration. Thank you.
We appreciate that, and I did notice you were reading. If there's any chance we can have a copy of that, we would,
It's handwritten, just so I couldn't misinterpret. Yeah, sure.
thank you,
Figure that out.
thank you. Stephen?
Sandy, I have a question. I'm glad you're up here. During the pre-conference, was the topic about filling out the federal forms presented?
It was done during the pre-conference. There was a packet left on the table for anyone to grab that I create. It's called being in compliance with ARPA and the federal regulations, and my card as well. So if there were additional questions or they needed assistance, I was offering that up as availability. And that was during the mandatory pre-bid walkthrough, prior to the submission.
Was there an understanding that to move on, that there was a process by, we looked at the federal form to see if it was completed, and if it was, then they moved on? Or say something about that.
Yes. So, and I'll get to some of your the feedback comments for you as well. But with regards to the federal forms, we look to ensure that they are signed. So we need to ensure that that is in compliance in terms of they read through the document and agreed to comply with the rules and regulations. What we don't require all the time is that it be 100% accurate, because they are confusing questions and sometimes they are answered not to the fullest or to that person's fullest ability, and that's where we come in and provide that technical assistance that's needed to complete those forms. So like, for example, one of the forms didn't put a dollar amount in the on the disbarment sheet that was for the bid proposal. And I can understand why they might do that, because we had bid alternates, and there's not a line option to put bid alternates, so you wouldn't want to put one number if your total number isn't actually going to match. So that makes sense to me. And we did offer the option, all bidders had the option to ask questions, multiple questions. There's a request for information. And the county didn't answer those questions directly. The staff member from Allied is correct. That's why we have WSP. There are architects and engineers, because some of those are technical questions. I don't want to answer them wrong, and it streamlines that process for us. So they do reach out to us. They say, hey, this is the question. How do we respond? And we provide that information in terms of the federal regulations piece. And hitting on that too, so you did say that the pre-bid, there was conversations at the mandatory pre-bid walkthrough. Within the bid packet itself, so this is separate from my federal regulations. In the instructions to bidders, it lists the forms that you have to submit. That was one of them. It also said that you needed to have a specific form that WSP created and a schedule of values. So there were 3 things that you had to submit, right? Am I correct in saying that? And then, in addition, also built into the bid packet itself, during the bid, there's a section for bid process where it outlines it again, what you need to submit to us and what forms are submitted. In my bid package, at the top of it, it says you must read this full package completely, and then at the very end, it says you must sign and acknowledge that you've read this and you comply with our agreements, our rules, and you have to submit this with your bid packet. So it was hit in many different areas, and I think that's why responding with, if you read the instructions, it's very clear what we're asking for you to do, and please comply with that. And it does say in the form, my bid packet form, on the very bottom, that if you don't submit it, that it's mandatory. You must submit this. It's not a question of whether it's voluntary or not. And then regarding your statement about American Rescue Plan, I can see where it can get confusing. So CFR Part 2, or 2 CFR Part 200 are the uniform guidance that we have to follow in addition to the rules that are set for the American Rescue Plan. What other groups may have done with you in the past, they're allowed to, other counties might do. What I will say, there are counties in the past that have been called out for not following.
States that it's a contract document, not a bid document. And also, that
So
document
within,
provided by your recommended bidder is only half complete.
All right, so,
And along with 7 other areas of the actual bid document specific to schedule extension and all your
all right, so we
This isn't a
we
blank
can, we can't have a back and forth here. So, I think at this point, I would like to close the public hearing and hear the pleasure of the commission.
I move that we approve the bid as submitted to, I'm sorry, to, yes, Benchmark,
Benchmark,
yeah,
yeah.
sorry. And in the amount of, full amount of $3,822,908.
Is there a second for that motion?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded, discussion. I actually have a comment. I appreciate your presentation. I looked at the bid documents myself to try to get a refresher of all of the times that this has ever come up in the various roles that I've been involved with over the years. And it looked to me like either you would know you needed to sign it, or you would at least know you needed to make a phone call. And the problem is that the ARPA regulations are pretty tight. Whoever wrote those, this was not their first ride around that merry-go-round. So we've been well aware of that here for the last couple of years because of the nature of that process and program. So I have to say, it's very disappointing to me that your company and others were, you didn't do this because you couldn't think of any place to go to lunch. These are serious undertakings, and I'm well aware of that, and I know that it's difficult to do, and it's very disappointing when it's a disqualification instead of a valid evaluation. So I did spend some time trying to find out as many circumstances as I could, and I think that we really do not have an option to overlook
Is there any
some.
option to speak at all more on this? 'Cause it's
No,
not just
no,
that
we-
form that we're talking about.
We're very familiar, you know, I'm aware that,
Information that the rec- This isn't a bid for
Look.
us, right? It's for all the other bidders as well.
I understand, and look, we have to go by the rules, and as I understand.
That's what we're challenging here, because there's
Yeah.
information missing in there that
Yeah.
you've been provided.
Well, okay, look, the public hearing is closed, and I'm just explaining to you why I'm going to support the motion. And I'd be glad to hear from, of course, any other commissioner that wishes to speak. Patty?
Thank you for bringing this matter to the commissioners this evening. I want to thank everyone involved with the process and also the public comment. I think, oftentimes when we have bids going out, and I think we've had so many different bids, whether it's CBDG, ARP, all of these types of large bids or small bids, they have regulations and rules and forms and formalities that are sometimes maybe very cumbersome. But they're there for a purpose. Our liability is on the line, and I feel fully confident that we did the very best in this situation with this bid. I know we've done it many times since, over the past 2 years that I've witnessed. People have followed the rules and either been qualified or disqualified because one thing or another. That's part of the bid process. So I feel confident with what we have done. I think it's also just a great opportunity to get feedback and to look at things. It's always good, fresh eyes. We can always look internally and see things that we may want to do differently or better, but I feel completely confident that this bid should be awarded to Benchmark based on what I've seen and the information, and I do appreciate that we had great dialogue tonight about what we could improve on potentially for the future. Thank you.
Anybody else? So I have a final comment that sometimes a lot of the forms that are necessary to the bid process were developed over different times by different regulators. And so, it's not impossible to be looking at a stack and finding all kinds of problems with it. And that's why the staff, they're glad to do it, and we expect that they would do it, be available to resolve any ambiguities and make the changes. And mean, everybody knows people have to work against their deadlines sometimes, and sometimes it's very difficult to make that connection at the very moment when you need it. We all understand that. But we have, so, any other comments? We're ready for a vote? All those?
Jim, I
Yeah,
will make
go
a
ahead.
comment, just remind the board that our policy for procurement and the covers contracts is that we shall select the most responsive contractor. And I think this covers that category.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? It's unanimous. Again, we wish it didn't happen. Sure. New business, 24078. County manager to sign a transfer document. Mr. Gailey?
Yes, as the commissioners are aware, back in June, you met with the new ownership group of the Maine Mariners. It is time now that, after the league has now accepted the new ownership group, that we go and move the transfer of agreements that we have with the team from Comcast Spectacor, the current owner, to the new owner eventually here, Power Play LLC. This document that's attached to your agenda is a document that has been put together by the law firm representing the new ownership group, and they have signed off, and it's ready for signature of the county. So I'd ask for approval of this item.
I think she's our counsel.
Okay. We have a motion.
Not supposed to read that? It is? Interesting.
I move for the passage of item 24-078, which is the transfer of lease to Power Play LLC, Maine Mariners sale transfer of lease.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Discussion?
I just want to say, I think it's an exciting time to be, I guess, a part of this transfer of ownership with the Mariners. I know that there's a strong following for the Mariners and what they bring to our communities, not just here in Portland, but the outer ring of hockey fans throughout the state of Maine. And so I'm very excited about seeing what the new ownership has in mind, and very excited about it, so.
I'll also mention, frankly, that Comcast, in the time that they had control of the franchise, worked with the county. Things were at kind of a low point when we started, and
They were.
they're much improved at the moment. So congratulations to them and to us, really. Other comments? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. And we now ask for comments from the county manager.
Thank you. My comments this evening are more around the cross insurance arena and anticipation of the upcoming hockey season. Over the last 2 or 3 weeks, we have been in the arena, and we have completed the dashboard and glass project that we had. This is a project that's probably been on the books for us 4 or 5 years and got delayed because of COVID. We finally have installed the whole new dashboard system and glass. And one of the biggest benefits to this project was we corrected a 1977 error in the arena by them putting the players' benches on the wrong side of the ice. So we have corrected that, and now the players' benches are on the correct side, with the penalty boxes being where the players' benches used to be. A whole host of benefits by just that small little change. But everything's looking good up there, and we've got a few more acts that we have to get through before we start getting ice in there and putting the dashes and glass back up for the winter season. Staying with the arena, while we were doing the dashboard project, we had the sign crew out front installing the new marquee sign. Another project that's languished for a couple of years, but has now been completed. And it is actually a very scalable sign. I was afraid that it was gonna be a little too big, but seeing it installed on the building it's very scalable to the building. It's not too much in your face and glowing. It's very well done. And so the acts that I've seen up on there thus far have been pretty well transmitted, and I think people will tend to use that to see what's coming into the arena for the coming shows. So with that concludes my communications.
Thank you. From the executive staff, maybe starting with Teresa, have we got any money?
Never enough, right? We've been busy, and I'm gonna be in full audit mode. The auditors are gonna be physically on site on September 3rd. So we're working with them now to furnish documents up front so they can start doing they're in full pre-audit mode. I've got everything to them through May. So I've got to finish up June and the next week, and then they'll be going through and then on site in September, on September 3rd. So that's where the focus is right now, in addition to the regular duties, so.
Deputy Manager?
Wait a
Alex?
minute, I could comment.
Oh, sure. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
just a reminder that the state, through the DOC, is going to start enforcing the rule about having an audit for the jail.
I wasn't gonna mention that to her on her first day back.
Oh, welcome back from vacation.
Thank you.
Alex? Any other good news?
Yeah, take your thunder.
One interesting thing that we went through last week and the week before, as well as getting authorization for this from the Grants Committee, the District Attorney's Office submitted an application for a pretty large grant, which would be to clear out the backlog of rape kits that are scattered throughout this area. This will be a very big comprehensive project using multiple vendors, multiple subrecipients, really a partnership between Sheriff's Office, State of Maine, and so on, to really try to do some good here and build some better data points over a 3-year period. So let's hope they get it, because I think that'll be a really good thing if they do.
Anything else? Good?
I have a quick question on that last point. When you just said 3 years, is that what the time frame is to clear out everything that's in the backlog on rape kits? It's gonna take about 3 years? Is that what I'm hearing?
To be honest, the DOJ grants always run a 3-year period.
Oh,
They'll
okay.
try to get as many done as they can during
I
that
see,
time period.
during that period,
Yeah.
okay.
They're shooting for, I believe, 500, but it's very much, they start with most recent and work their way backwards from there. But
Right.
each one of those obviously comes with
Yep.
a great deal of work that follows it.
Okay, great, thank you.
I was in on that hearing, and it was amazing of where some of these kits are stored. So it was greatly needed, and really, I was surprised that they did go forth to support it, but much needed.
So fingers crossed.
Catherine?
I just wanted to clarify, I did not record the vote for item 24-077. I got that Commissioner Jamison, that you motioned, and Commissioner Ratonis, that you second, but I didn't record the vote. I was so busy
It
taking
was
notes.
unanimous,
Unanimous? Okay, wonderful.
as all votes are, basically. Most of them.
Not really. No,
Not all
no,
the time.
No?
Not all the time.
don't count me out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioners, Commissioner Ratonis,
No, I'm all set.
Commissioner Jameson.
Far be it from me to interrupt with almost a record short meeting, so I have no comments.
And Commissioner
Oh, I'm
Smith.
gonna interrupt it. I'm gonna do that. First of all, I noticed that we received email around someone's 20th year anniversary as a county employee, if that's correct. That is,
Scotty Franklin?
Scotty Franklin, right? So 20 years, that's pretty amazing. I just want to appreciate that fact and that commitment to being in the county government with that kind of length of a career is really impressive. And the other thing that I think is important to point out that, as we talk about working at the county and what a kind of a place it is to work here and some of the perks and benefits, it's nice to know that we finally, recently, I guess, worked with USM to receive tuition reimbursement. And that's really exciting. So if you're an employee of the county, I know there's probably lots of rules and regulations around accessing that, but the fact that we're trying to encourage development and growth and continuous learning through USMs, through free tuition for employees, I think that's fabulous. It's a great benefit of being an employee here at the county, so I just want to say great work on that piece of new news for us, and I hope encourages people to take advantage of that. Thank you.
Commissioner Gordon?
I really don't have anything to speak of at this time. Thank you.
And as well, I do not either.
Oh,
so.
my God.
And I don't believe it's a
Catherine,
record.
put that in the record.
Yeah, really? Jim was speechless.
And I don't think it's a record.
It's not.
So do I have a motion to adjourn our current meeting and go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
And the executive session motion we'll deal with separately. First, we adjourn.
Actually, I think the agenda, because there'll be a motion possibly that will. Coming out, so we'll have to adjourn after the
All
executive
right.
sessions.
Sounds right. All right. So executive sessions, we have 24-079 to enter into.